Welcome to today's Explainer. We're exploring the absolutely brilliant insights of organizational psychologist Adam Grant. And I gotta tell you, the ideas we're unpacking today might just challenge the very way you process the world. His core thesis is as fascinating as it is disruptive. True progress doesn't just require learning new things. No, it requires unlearning the old ones. Here is a quick roadmap of the societal illusions we're going to shatter today. We'll start with Meet the Mythbuster, then move into Busting Leadership Myths, Rethinking Success and Potential, The Science of Connection, and finally, How to Think Again. Stick with me because I can basically guarantee that at least one of your deeply held preconceived notions is going to be proven completely wrong today. Section 1, Meet the Mythbuster. Okay, let's dive into this and explore exactly why we should trust this guy's insights before we aggressively challenge some of your most deeply held beliefs. Adam Grant is definitely not your standard academic. He has an incredibly impressive and, frankly, eclectic resume. He's a former junior Olympic springboard diver and a professional magician. Add to that, he's been the top-rated professor at the Wharton School for 7 straight years, a multiple-time best-selling author, and a host with over 100 million downloads. Simply put, he's an absolute heavyweight when it comes to understanding human motivation and psychology. And this brings us right to his central philosophy. The myth we're all taught is that personal growth is entirely about focusing on learning new things. But the reality? The real key is actually unlearning old myths. Grant argues that, sure, admitting we are wrong can be uncomfortable, but the joy of learning something new eventually exceeds the pain of unlearning something old. That cognitive dissonance right there, that is the engine for everything we're about to explore. Section 2, Busting Leadership Myths, starting right in the modern workplace and the toxic norms we all just sort of blindly accept. Okay, the big myth is that remote work hurts productivity, but Grant's data actually reveals that ordering people into the office full-time is just a power and status move. It's not about performance at all, it's about ego. It's about bosses wanting to be worshipped at the office altar. Hybrid work is fundamentally better for both people and performance, but these work policies are basically being turned into vanity projects. At the very root of this toxic leadership is a remarkably simple truth. Charisma is overvalued. Character is undervalued. We live in a highly uncertain world, and because of that anxiety, we mistakenly confuse arrogant swagger for real strength and skill. We are instinctively drawn to narcissists who see power as a chance to seize control, rather than what it should be, a responsibility to serve. And this misplaced value plays out daily in our interactions. We naturally equate confidence with competence, but reality paints a starkly different picture. Get this. In problem-solving teams, men with low skill actually speak 69% more than women with high skill. Let that sink in. Mediocre men are completely dominating conversations over highly capable women. And if you need hard proof, let me drop the hammer with this data. Across 63 different studies, the research shows that women who assert their ideas, make direct requests, and advocate for themselves are actually liked less and hired less. It completely proves the ongoing, tangible penalty for violating outdated gender stereotypes. It is well past time we start valuing actual competence over just loud confidence. Section 3, Rethinking Success and Potential. It's time to move beyond the highlight reel to measure actual personal growth. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we completely idolize the self-made person. It's the ultimate American dream, right? Well, the reality is that literally no one succeeds without support. Grant points out that going around claiming I did it on my own is actually a giant red flag of insecurity and entitlement, not a badge of true success. Acknowledging the help you've received is the real mark of true confidence and humility. So how should we look at growth? The myth is that we must celebrate innate talent, the natural genius, the prodigy. But the reality, which he heavily explores in his book Hidden Potential, is that success is really about the distance traveled to the start. Growth is about character development. Grant uses the incredible skier Lindsey Vonn as an example. Grit isn't defined by your final result, it's shown in your resolve to bounce back after a massive fall. And character doesn't just stay in one lane of your life. Consider this thought. Marital infidelity actually predicts 2 to 3 times greater odds of professional misconduct among CEOs, financial advisors, and police officers. You just can't separate personal integrity from professional integrity. Character counts everywhere, across the board. So taking all of that in about character and success, I want to use this question as a quick mental palate cleanser before we move on. Think about this. How do we actually build strong connections in a lonely world? Section 4, the science of connection, unpacking vibe. This research acts as the ultimate antidote to a world that feels increasingly polarized, where communication is outsourced to AI, and where we are experiencing a truly deep loneliness crisis. Grant meticulously dismantles all our backward assumptions about friendship. Similarity is not necessary for solidarity. You really don't have to be alike to connect. Chemistry doesn't always happen quickly. Sometimes it's a very slow burn. And closeness doesn't always take time. Sometimes a profoundly deep bond is forged in an absolute instant under the right conditions. And this brilliantly illustrates how these concepts play out in some truly counterintuitive case studies. Grant looks at a crew of astronauts who learn to deeply trust people they actually dislike while under pressure. A comedy troupe that finds taking time apart is the actual key to staying together. A band that grew closer by learning how to fight more effectively. And a single gathering that sparked 78 marriages. The science of bonding is just so much weirder and more wonderful than we think. But on the flip side of that, some connections are actively harmful. The myth is that dealing with difficult people is just an annoyance you have to grin and bear. The reality? These hasslers are literally hazardous to your health. Each additional draining person in your network predicts 1.5% faster biological aging. Non-spouse family hasslers are the absolute worst. Some ties simply are not worth the biological toll they take on your body. Take a second to digest this. Connection is not about how much time we spend together. It's about how much joy and meaning we create together. That is the deeper philosophical meaning of what true evidence-based connection looks like. It is entirely about quality, meaning, and mutual respect, not just logging passive hours in the exact same room. Section 5, How to Think Again. This brings us to the ultimate myth regarding intellectual humility, a message that spans his entire body of work. This might literally be the biggest myth of all. Society constantly tells us that flip-flopping or changing your mind is a sign of weakness. But reality dictates that changing your mind is actually a mark of profound growth. Feeling embarrassed by your past work or suddenly cringing at your old opinions? That doesn't mean you were incompetent. It is absolute, undeniable proof that you have an open mind and that you are evolving. Consider this revelation. It's wild. The cure for ignorance is not information, it's humility and curiosity. We live in this age of total information abundance, right? But facts are incredibly easily dismissed by closed minds. Lifelong learning is truly about recognizing the massive gaps in our understanding. It is about knowing exactly how little we actually know. So the crucial point is, how do we actually do this? Grant gives us 3 highly practical steps to become critical thinkers and escape our own echo chambers. 1. Be 10% more skeptical of the people you already agree with. 2. Actively look for flaws in the ideas you already like. And 3. Completely discount sources that only peddle a single narrative. We absolutely have to engage with competing ideas if we want to build any real cognitive flexibility. As we wrap up today's explainer, I want you to ask yourself a serious question. What opinion do you need to unlearn today? Take Adam Grant's myth-busting framework and actively apply it to your own life, your own workplace, and your own relationships. If you're completely comfortable with all your current beliefs, well, you might just be doing it wrong. Thank you so much for learning and unlearning with me today. Keep questioning everything, and I'll see you next time.